Sure. The James S. McDonald Foundation was founded in 1950 by Mr. James S. McDonald, who was the founder of what became McDonnell Douglas Aircraft and is now Boeing. He started the foundation as his personal, sort of private philanthropic organization. And he really, at that time, established this goal for the foundation that it would be to improve the quality of life. But he himself was very interested in this idea of knowledge acquisition and its responsible application. And in fact, he was very taken with a statue that was called Man Carving His Own Destiny, and used this image of the statue as the stock image on the McDonnell Douglas stock company, and used that image in several of his speeches where he talked about that as we went forward in solving problems using science and technology, that we had to be conscious of this fact that we were carving our destiny by doing that. So that's sort of the roots of the foundation. And he was very interested in genetics, he was very interested in the human mind, he was very interested in global problems, considered himself a globalist, was one of the founders, along with Eleanor Roosevelt, of the UN Association. So I think it was an interesting dichotomy that, to a large extent, he made his fortune building weapons of minimal destruction, and yet was very, very interested in a global world order and peace and prosperity. So we try to fulfill his interest through 3 funding areas. We fund a program called Understanding Human Cognition, which really bridges all the way from basic neuroscience to education, rehabilitation, training. And we fund a program called Global and Complex Systems. And then we have a smaller program which focuses on brain cancer, and I could go into why we fund that area, but it's really just, we saw that as almost a small model system, because the field of brain cancer research is actually quite small. That is this a place where targeted funding could push those alternative models of thinking about cancer biology. I mean, I actually have to say that when I heard him say that, I wasn't sure where the rightful place of science was. And I immediately thought, what scientists will think is that means it's going to get 80 to 90% of GDP. That the more science funding, the better. And the rightful place of science is being well funded. I'm sure that's absolutely what they thought. And so that's one of the things that really interests me about this conference, because I think this question, this statement turned into a question, is phenomenal. And the whole country should be having this conversation on some level, because science is becoming a new center. Even though most scientists will tell you people don't care about science and they don't know science and they don't understand the science, I was just saying that, you know, if you pick up any magazine right now, the amount of scientific content in there is unbelievable. The recent issue of the New Yorker has 3 or 4 major long feature pieces that are all intimately related to the questions we're asking at this conference. So the broader society is asking these same questions. And I always joke that when scientists say we need better public understanding of science, I think that's the last thing you actually want. Because if people really understood science and really started questioning why you're doing what you're doing, it's going to get really uncomfortable.
Sure.
So I think the rightful place of science, I don't think it has a privileged position in society. I think it has an important place in society, but I don't think it takes precedence over other aspects of social decision making. So I don't think that when people say, like this example, so we can diagnose, we're going to be able to eventually pick out when you have a single mutant cell in your body, and we're going to treat it. I think we as a society have the right to say, I don't want to know that, because I don't want fear of my body controlling the way I think about my life. I don't want to see myself as an enemy. I don't want to worry about my health all the time. And so I think, but scientists could say, but that's irrational. That's anti-science. That's, crazy talk. I think because they feel that science is privileged, that it takes precedence over other value systems, other ways of knowing, other sources of knowledge, and I don't see that. Now that may be very awkward coming from someone who actually is a scientist and funds mainly science, but I've long felt that this is, that scientists are confused about this question.